I'm remembering. Remembering who I am. Who I was.
What do you care about this world? We've destroyed it 12 times before.
I can't escape my sins. I have to pay for what I've done, Issa.
Cyrus. Did I die?
Yes. But you've been reborn.
This world was once inhabited by billions. When the Deathless rose to power, they decimated humankind. The workers getting ready to do it again. If we don't stop him now, the world will burn for our failure.
Worker, I will destroy you. I am divinity. I am God and King, and you can never defeat me. We end this now.
Hi, and welcome to the Unreal Engine Twitch TV channel. I am Hillary Goldstein. I'm joined today by Chair Creative Director Donald Mustard, who is going to be talking about Infinity Blade 3, Ausar Rising, a new content pack that is free for all Infinity Blade players, available on December 19th. So we're going to be taking your questions, so be sure to tweet out to us with the hashtag IB3 Ausar Rising, and we'll be reading those questions, and Donald will be asking your most cherished and insider needed info. This is the guy who knows it all, so if you need to know it, he can answer it.
If I don't know it, I can make it up on the spot. Right?
Exactly, and maybe even it'll just end up in the game where
Right,
it sounds good enough. So maybe for people who aren't that familiar with Infinity Blade 3, maybe if you can just kind of give a kind of a general intro to what it is.
Yeah, so Infinity Blade 3 is the epic conclusion to our Infinity Blade trilogy. And some of the really awesome stuff in Infinity Blade 3 is that it really kind of culminates all the gameplay that we've been building towards for the first two games. And some of the really cool new things in Infinity Blade 3 are you have the opportunity to play as both Cyrus, our hero, and as Issa, his female protagonist companion, who joins him on his quest through the game. And honestly, in Infinity Blade 3, we're just so proud of it. I'm just so happy with how the game turned out and just all the really, really cool stuff that you can do in the game. And it really, I think, stands as a testament to how far mobile gaming has come. It really is a very epic, amazing experience on a mobile device that you can take with you anywhere.
And so the game that was released a couple months ago already had a ton of content for $7 at the time, but you keep adding more to it, and Ausar Rising is the largest update for any Infinity Blade game ever, so maybe you can just give a rundown of sort of all of the crazy things that are going to be added into this.
Sure, yeah. I mean, one of the really cool things about making these mobile games is it's really, we're able to keep adding stuff to the game, and that's one of the things that's been really fun for us at Chair, is the ability to keep working on the game after we've released it. And we're so excited about Ausar Rising. There's some features in Ausar Rising that we've been planning on and developing for a long time. Some of them for over a year that we've been working on that are finally ready to release in this update. So some of the things that are just really cool in the update are there's a bunch of new quests. We're going to be exploring some of the past of Ausar the Vile, who is the evil former self of our hero Cyrus. And we think we've come up with a really cool way that we can kind of show some of who Ausar was while still maintaining the world of Infinity Blade. We've also added several new modes to the game that I'm really excited about. That stuff that we've been working on for a long time that I've really wanted to have in the game, just for the way that I play it. And I think people are going to really, really like that. We've also just added a ton of new items, a ton of new gems, new skills to unlock, new goals to complete. And it really just, right now, Infinity Blade 3 with Ausar Rising is the ultimate Infinity Blade experience.
Gotcha. So everybody be crazy not to get it on the 19th.
It's free. Go get it. It's awesome.
True enough. So don't forget that you can ask Donald questions by tweeting with the hashtag IB3Ausar Rising. We'll be looking for those questions. And right now we actually have one from Gal Noam, who asks, we clearly see Ausar and Cyrus standing together in the most recent trailer that we put out. So Ausar soulless, or how is this possible?
Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but yes. So you will fight a soulless version or copy of Ausar the Vile, and kind of one of the way that this works for all of you real kind of lore experts. If you look at whenever you go back to the hideout and you resurrect or whenever you awaken in the resurrection chamber, if you look kind of below the catwalks where you're walking, you can see these frosted out chambers below there. And if you look really, really closely, you can see the shapes of like a body in there. And that's where, for these resurrection chambers to work, there's all of these buds, is what we call them, these buds created where it's essentially these empty copies of yourself that you can be awakened into if you're one of the deathless. And you know, Ausar has been gone for a long time, but there were probably a few buds still left from when Ausar was wiped out on the plains of Koroth. They couldn't find all the buds to destroy them. And a cult that is dedicated to bringing back Ausar the Vile has been able to locate one of these buds and are trying to awaken it so that it can hopefully replace or bring, in their opinion, the wonderful rule of Ausar back to the world.
Well, that raises a question that I've had, which is that in the latest book, Infinity Blade Redemption, we get to learn the origins of the God King. So when will we learn the origins of Ausar?
Well, so this update will, for the astute player, this update will shed some light on that. We delved pretty clearly into the origins of Raedriar and to the God King in the book and somewhat in the game. Our plan is to keep Ausar a little more mysterious. We're not going to, at least anytime soon, directly come out and tell you his history. But for those of you who are paying attention, we've given you a lot of clues already throughout the game, through the books and through the game. And this update will reveal a few more clues that I've actually read some of the theories that are out there that you guys have about Ausar. And I know I've read at least one that is pretty spot on correct. But one of the clues that the worker gives Ausar near the end of Infinity Blade 3, he says, why do you care about this world? We've destroyed it dozens of times before. That's a big clue. Ausar, I think, is much older than a lot of people realize.
Now, something else that's in the update, which you didn't mention, is that there is a new dragon. So a lot of people have played Infinity Blade 3, they've killed the first dragon, and they've said, I want more dragons. So can you tell us a little bit about the new dragon and when you'll get to face her?
Yeah, so when we set out to make a dragon in Infinity Blade, one of the things that... So I just went and saw The Hobbit last night, and when... I always feel like when most people do dragons in games or even in movies, dragons aren't special enough, right? They're either a ton of them and they just die too easy. But to me, like, facing a dragon should be a big deal. And so we tried to make that a big deal in Infinity Blade and make it a very rare thing that happens, and that there really is just a dragon. And in the lore of Infinity Blade, the idea that a dragon could be created is a big deal. That shows a Deathless or a group of Deathless that are so advanced and are so are such experts at genetic manipulation and engineering that they're actually able to hatch a dragon. And dragons were probably a little more common thousands of years ago in the world of the Deathless, but have become very, very rare. And again, if you're paying attention to the game, when you went to Ausar's castle in Infinity Blade 2, there was a statue out in his main courtyard that had a dragon with a guy stabbing the dragon, but under the dragon there was an egg, and Ausar had hidden a dragon egg there, a dragon hatchling. And when the worker freed himself, or was freed from the Vault of Tears, he understood what a dragon egg looked like, and he hatched that egg. Which is why if you go back to the Vault of Tears now, that egg is open. And the worker has been able to find a few more, at least for now, he's found another dragon egg, and has hatched it and has unleashed that dragon on the world as well. So I'm excited for you guys to see it. We've taken a lot of time and care in designing what we think is, we want our dragons to be very unique, very cool looking, and very different than what you'd expect out of a dragon that you'd see in a movie or something. And we think our dragons look awesome, and this new one looks really, really cool.
Cool. So we have one from Nonners1, or Nunners1, I'm not sure which it is, and actually wants to know, how will the new My Chat feature work?
That's an awesome question. So that's one of the ones that's kind of been a pet project of the team for a while, where we have wanted people to be able to have the ability to chat in the game and not have to always turn to the message boards or things like that. And so what we've added is basically every quest essentially has its own chat thread. So now when you click on a quest or on a Clash mob, it will, on the side of the menu, you'll see a little tab that you can pull out that will have a chat thread associated with that quest. So if I'm going to Larioth, I can see that little chat, and I can chat with anyone from my game center, from my Facebook, I think from Google Plus as well. And any of my friends in there that are playing Infinity Blade, I can chat back and forth with them, and that will be saved, so I can leave a tip like, oh man, when you're fighting this guy in this quest, make sure you equip this thing, or I found this cool weapon here, or this is where the treasure map is, and you can leave each other different comments, and you can chat amongst yourselves. And I think that's really cool, and I'm super excited to use that feature. So
cool. And this one comes from Marvin Lois, and the question is, and a lot of people sent in a similar question, which is, Rith with solar trans weapons, will he be back sometime in the future?
Well, Rith is not going to be in the Ausar Rising update, but Rith is a cool character in the Infinity Blade universe, and when Cyrus dueled Rith in Infinity Blade 2, they fought with their solar trans weapons, which are not Infinity weapons, so Rith is definitely still alive and definitely still out there, and I'm sure he's still looking for a great sword fight. I'm sure after finally losing a battle to Cyrus, he probably definitely would want a rematch. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Cool. And the last question we have actually is development focused, and this is from 5-0. And he was wondering first, how many people are on the chair development team, and then also, can you share some info more technically detailed on, Polycounts, for example? Other mobile developers are probably wondering, who are watching this are probably wondering, like, how do we make a game on mobile look so good?
Sure. So when we made the first Infinity Blade, the development team was 9 people. I think that's right. I think we had 10 people total at chair and 9 on the development team. And so we made all of Infinity Blade 1 with those 10 people, and that was broken down basically into like 3 programmers and 6 art and design people. Infinity Blade 2, we expanded to I think 13 or 14 people, and now with Infinity Blade 3, we have just around 20 people on our team here at Chair. And so we've grown a little bit, but our intent is to always stay small so that we can always keep our focus on being extremely creative and extremely quality driven, and it allows us a lot of control over our product. But that's one of the great things about Unreal Engine 3 is it's such a great tool that it's allowed us with a very small team to create this kind of a game that's very full featured, that looks super amazing. It really is just one of the best tools out there. Mobile has definitely come a long way in the last couple of years. I mean, obviously looking at Infinity Blade 3, there's stuff that we can do now on mobile that you couldn't even dream of 4 years ago. So when we first made the first Infinity Blade, we really took a hard look at where mobile devices were. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do when making a mobile game that you can, that's similar to console development. But there's a few things that are a little different. So polycounts, we can actually have a pretty high polygon count, not too dissimilar from what we do on a console game like Gears of War. Most of our characters are in the 8 to 12,000 triangle range. But the real thing on mobile is it doesn't do as many shaders as you would do, and this is probably getting way too technical, but it doesn't do as many shaders as you can do on a console. So we can actually push a lot of polygons. We have a lot of polygons in our environment, we have a lot of polygons in our characters, but you can't have as many draw counts and you can't have as many shaders, which causes more draw counts. So our textures tend to be a lot bigger, and again, you get a lot more resolution. We have more resolution in our characters like Cyrus. Cyrus uses or even our enemies use a 2048 texture map, which is a lot bigger than even what we'd use on Gears of War. In fact, the dragon uses 4 2048 texture maps. That's crazy huge, tons of detail. And we can do that because of the throughput power of the devices, where we're limited a little bit more, though, is in saying we've got, like on a game like Shadow Complex or Undertow, right? If you ever played Undertow, we had all these cool depth filters and all this cool distortion stuff that we're doing to make the water look more, which is very almost free on a console, which is a lot more expensive on mobile currently. Give mobile another 2 years and it'll pretty much be just like developing for an Xbox. But again, one of the awesome advantages of mobile is the ability to update stuff, right? And that's what's so cool about these updates, is because we have features like this new deathless mode that we've put in the game that we've been working on for a long time. A lot of time these features take a long time to gestate and to really become cool and full featured and what you want. And if we were making this as a normal console game, all those features would just normally get cut. Those really cool ideas you have, they just would never make it in the game. Whereas because of the luxury we've had with Infinity Blade, now that by the 3rd iteration of the game, Infinity Blade 3 has almost every feature we've ever dreamed of putting in it. All the little things that we wanted, all the cool different modes and ways that you can interact with the game, we've been able to add over time. And we've been able to do it in conjunction with the feedback from the people playing the game. We really pay attention to what people say, and our goal always is to just make the most fun experience that we can, and to do that in conjunction with the people playing it. We really, really care about what people think, and that's the advantage of developing for mobile, is you can actually incorporate that feedback.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us for the first ever Chair live stream. We want to thank the Unreal Engine Twitch TV channel for hosting this for us. And Donald, and again, don't forget that Infinity Blade 3 Ausar Rising will be available on December 19th. If you own Infinity Blade 3, you get the update with all this cool stuff for free. Do you have any last thoughts for us as we head out?
Yeah, actually, so 2 quick thoughts. So one thing is, today we have this really awesome partnership that we've entered in with Universal Pictures for the upcoming 47 Ronin movie. We have this special event, Clash Mob, going on right now that if you're playing Infinity Blade 3, you can join that and participate in it to unlock this, to fight the ultimate boss from the 47 Ronin movie, the Samurai Brute. And if we can all work together and beat him in the next few days, we can win his very rare sword. And this is the only time we will ever be able to give out this weapon ever in the game. It's a completely exclusive item. So let's all work together and let's get it. The other cool thing we have is tomorrow, for those of you that are either new to the game or new to the franchise or have played the games and really like the story, we are going to offer one of our very rare sales on our books. So Infinity Blade Awakening and Infinity Blade Redemption will both be 99 cents for a limited time through the remainder of this week in all of the digital bookstores that it's available in. So this is a good chance to go read those books, and those books can give you more information on the game than I ever could. They're really, really cool, so go check them out for 99 cents right now.
Great. Thanks again, and don't forget, December 19th, Ausar Rising, available on the App Store.